Hello everyone and welcome to the channel. I'm Emmanuel, I'm an airline pilot, and welcome to the latest release for Flight Simulator 2024. Skyward Simulations has just released their Cessna Citation Sovereign Plus, and today we are going to take her on a beautiful flight down under from Queenstown up to Auckland. A quick 1 hour 30-minute ride across New Zealand, and on this ride we are going to explore the most important features of this aircraft. Now, if you haven't seen my 2-hour video together with the developer yet, then that one is really going deep into the details of this airplane and a lot of the backgrounds as well, while today's video is going to be more focused on actually flying the airplane and giving you guys the same experience that you would have when using it yourself. Alright, so I'd say we're gonna go right into this. We are parking down in Queenstown over here on the general aviation areas, respectively on the de-icing apron, I think. And we are going to get right down into it. So we're going to start by actually collecting all the covers, and you will notice that you do not just have a single click spot here. You can get a single click spot to remove them all, or you can do it all individually. That can all be controlled in the electronic flight bag. There's also a lot of details down here, like the fuel panels, and funnily enough you have to actually lock and unlock all the latches over here and do that kind of stuff. Really nice how you can do all of this yourself over here. You even have consequences if you don't do stuff right. For example, if you open the fuel caps on the wings and forget them open, you will have fuel leaking and all that kind of stuff. So really nice what they've done over here. Also how you can hear the engines windmilling from the moment that you take the covers off. That's really cool. And since we have been flying an airplane that has been parked for a little longer, we actually got to connect those batteries again, because they would be disconnected here when you aren't operating the airplane in a while, to avoid the batteries draining, kind of like you would do with a car that is parking for a long time. So that's some really nice feature over here. Now, the developers themselves said that they kind of wanted their airplane to feel a little bit like the Hotstar Challenger does in X-Plane. You can also manually connect the ground power unit up here, which is another cool feature. I just really like that kind of stuff. So that's the type of stuff that we would be doing here as a pilot. Now, you can also cover up all those static wicks individually over here. Really cool stuff that this airplane enables you to do. Now let's go right back into it and open up that door. 3-part click spot over here. Gotta click all 3 of them in order to get the door open. Yeah, believe me, you don't want to know how I found out about that one. Alright, and here we are in the cabin. The Sovereign Plus comes with a beautiful cabin over here, 8 seats, and you do have controllers on each single one of those seats that we are going to have a look at in a few moments. You also have the bathroom, and yes, you do have a click spot down here. Find out for yourself what that one does. And then we got our cargo hold down here. So a really neat cabin. You can even make those, make everything work over here by using the appropriate click spots. Really cool. Really cool. If you're looking for visual fidelity in the cabin, then this airplane has it. Alright, and then let's get up into the flight deck. If you say it looks very similar to the Longitude, then you're probably right, because it's a common type rating with the Longitude. Now let's go ahead and get this one powered up. We'll start with the emergency lights, and you can see that it actually illuminates the ceiling lights and the emergency lights. Same goes for the arm position as long as power is turned off. Then we can test the standby power system, hold it down there, and you can see we got the green light. And then we can turn that on. You can see we get the orange light, like that. And now we can actually turn on the real electrical power. Also going to switch on the external power down here. And now everything's coming to life. While we're waiting for our G5000 to initialize, let's go ahead and have a quick look down here into the electronic flight bag, where we can import our Simbrief flight plan and then just have a very quick look into the weather. But as you can see, everything is perfectly fantastic for this flight. So let's go into the flight plan and have a look at the airport weather real quick. So Queenstown is quite good, no clouds detected. Auckland does have some clouds here, overall good weather, and our alternate in Wellington is looking good as well. With that in mind, let's make a fuel decision over here. How much do we want to take? And I'm telling you honestly, 4,500 pounds is probably going to be all we need. Now, let's go over into the services. Over here, we got a couple of things that we can check. You can see you got your standard access, where you can open and close all the hatches. Then you got the ground menu, where you can control things like the chocks, the ground power unit, and so on. Then you got the payload page, and over here, we are flying completely full today.
System test, okay.
Like that. And finally, we can see this airplane is in kilos over here, so let's go into the settings real quick. EFB units Imperial, and then we can just include that fuel in pounds down here. Alright, and with that we are completely set up. Cargo bay, maybe you want to take a little bit over there as well, say 300 pounds. Alright, and here we go. So apart from that, you got things over here like your hydraulic system, where you can check on your reservoir. You got the vanity services, where you better ensure that you do have sufficient potable water. You can service that down here as well. And then you got the same for the oxygen, which you could also do on the outside of the plane, right next to the fuel panel. You'll find the oxygen panel where you can control oil, kind of that stuff. So that's pretty cool. That's really pretty cool. Okay, so that stuff is done. Then our G5000 has powered up over here, so let's go ahead and start our setup. Starting with the weight and fuel. Crew and stores, we're going to leave that at 860. For the passengers, we're carrying 8 of them, and we have 300 pounds cargo. Then for the takeoff data, fuel on board is going to be 4,500. Well, we could just synchronize that as well. That'd work as well. And then for the landing, let's check on our fuel reserves, which are 1,798. So let's go ahead and load that as well, or rather program that as well. So 1,798, enter, and that is looking good. Alright, that leads us into the flight plan, and for the flight plan, we are going to go down into our services. Of course, this is the first, to my knowledge, the first airplane that has a Garmin unit fitted in MSFS that is data link equipped. So let's go ahead and have a look. So we got NZQN for Queenstown. We're going to request that. We need the departure ATIS, and you have the option fetch real ATIS. That works in FAA land, where the digital ATIS is available online for everyone. You can see over here, that's our VATSIM ATIS. So, Queenstown, ATIS Alpha. RMP Zulu approach, runway 23, and the QNH is 1006. And whenever we do get a QNH, I'm just putting it in straight away. Like that, and that, and that. Okay, fantastic. So we got that thing on board. And then we can also use this to request our flight plan, which we are going to get straight from SimBrief. Alright, that is looking good, isn't it? Now we got that stuff up. I don't think we actually have any SID over here, but we will find out when we talk to our traffic control later on. Okay, and finally going down here, Davy 6 Alpha arrival, 423 left over in Auckland, so let's select that. Alright, Davy 6 Alpha, runway 23 left, here we go, let's load that. And for the procedures, it's going to be an ILS 23 left, and I'm just going to load that. Alrighty, cool. Then for our VNAV, we got all the standard stuff over here. Speed limit 250 is going to be fine. We're going to do standard cruise climb here, transition altitude 13,000 should be fine as well. And we'll take the pilot-defined cruise at Mach 0.79. You can see it's a fairly quick airplane, really. Okay, let's go for our takeoff data then. We are departing from runway 23. The weather we can simply load and use the runway temperature, and then for our runway that's looking good. Takeoff configuration is going to be all automatic, and you can see 2,799 feet required, so that's a really short runway that you need for the Sovereign Plus, which is amazing for an airplane that can fly some 3,000 plus nautical miles. Alright, so stall warning test is good. Engine fire test
Right engine fire.
is good.
Left engine fire. Right engine fire. Left engine fire. Right engine fire.
Okay, so we got that. Then let's go for the smoke detector.
Fire. Baggage fire.
And the two lights down here are illuminating as well. Alright, so with that, the baggage fire test should be completed any moment. Let's go for the annunciators. And we got those up there, you got those down here, and all of them down here. Now, small point on the control column here, there's a really nice option in your settings, and I think it's simulation, where you can make the control column automatically hide in order to make it easier to view everything. So now I've activated that option. You can see when I'm looking down now, it's automatically going to go down so that you can see all the panel. I really do like that option because it makes it a lot easier to use the airplane. So that's a really neat one if you want it. For filming, I kind of like to have everything in place and just move my point of view around, but you get the idea down there. Okay, so we're just gonna load the rest of that, or we're just gonna do the rest of those tests. HF1, HF2, and when that's complete, we've basically got our initialization completed. Alright, so that's it. With that, the initialization is done, so we can accept it, and then let's just go ahead and get ourselves the checklist over here. Now, electronic checklist on Citation Sovereign, just something worth mentioning over here. There aren't many sovereigns that have them, so the developers really searched for a long time until they found one. I think they only found like 2 out of many that had them, but it does, so you can use it whenever you want to. Alright, so, exterior preflight CAD and cockpit checklists here. That's preflight inspection complete, nose landing gear, torque link is verified connected, engine, pitot, APU and static wick covers removed and stowed, circuit breakers all in, emergency light switch on, stamper power switch tested then on, battery buttons on, oxygen quantities checked, APU or GPU, we're on GPU. Today, bus tie is verified closed, interior button. Now, the moment we turn this on, we just quickly got to run to the back. Because you can see, the system is simulated back here. It even has a nice startup sequence. It can play you some audio down there. It can control things like the cabin lights. It can control the window shades, which is a really nice feature. We can close them over here. You can see that actually works. For takeoff, you obviously got to open them, but you got a lot of nice features down here. Really nice stuff. You can even get the screens. Really cool thing. That thing alone basically deserves its own video. Just mentioning it. Okay, good. So, the interior button is now on. Tail flap light off, landing gear handle down and 3 greens. CBR button test. Okay, control lock. Off. And initialization performance system tests complete. ATS clearance flight plan. Alright, so this is the point where we should probably get our IFR clearance and then just see what's going on over here. Alright, so quick check. We have ATIS information alpha on board. And we do have ATC online on 129.3.
Just past 219, thanks. Maintain best practical speed when ready. Descend 11. Question by the star 1000. Queenstown is currently Alpha the QNH 1006.
Can you just confirm the altitude, Jetstar 219? Your microphone's very boomy.
Jetstar 219, not a problem. When ready, descend by the star 1000.
1000, Jetstar 219, RNP, runway 23, Zulu, heading forward, speed, Jetstar 219.
Christchurch Control, good afternoon. Zulu Kilo, Echo Lima Foxtrot, information alpha at Queenstown, request clearance to Auckland.
Echo Lima Foxtrot, Christchurch Control, Canadian, standby clearance, number 1.
Alright, he's
Field
on
57
it.
from present position, track direct Nelson.
Direct Nelson, Teal 57, thank you.
Until 57, just for...
Alright, while he's working on it, let's go ahead and continue. So let's just assume that that stuff's on board already. Then we got the trims and stabilizers. Let's just set 3 units down there. Like this, the cabin is cleared and music, well, they can control that themselves. Alright, and here we go. Now, let's go ahead and run that APU just to make it a little bit
FedEx 2448, Christchurch Connect.
warmer in here. You can perfectly start the airplane off the ground power unit. It's actually just using the batteries either way.
Echo Lima Foxtrot, Christchurch Control.
Echo Lima Foxtrot, ready, copy.
Echo Lima Foxtrot, are you really under the desire to fly the Frankton 8, or are you happy the Anpos?
No, we're happy with anything you gotta provide.
Okay, Echo Lima Foxtrot, you cleared Auckland flight plan route, flight level 450, the Frankton 8 departure, squawk 5010.
Echo Lima Foxtrot is cleared Auckland via flight plan route, flight level 450, the fraction 8 departure, and squawk 5010.
Echo Lima Foxtrot.
Alright, fantastic. So, 5010, gonna put that into here. And then let's just see what they got on the departures. So, that gotta be Fox Kilo November 8, I guess. But, let's have a look into the charts to be 100% sure. And if we've already got those Navigraph charts available, then let's also use those Navigraph charts. So, fraction 8 departure. And that is runway 23, straight ahead. Then we're gonna make a left turn around the mountain, and then continue the climb. Now, I'm telling you honestly, we could probably just go straight ahead and climb to those 7,600 over here without any problem, but let's go ahead and take the departure just because it is a visually beautiful one. And that's gonna take us towards Quebec, November, and then we can load that. Alright, cool. You cleared us to flight level 450, and as I had to learn on my last time flying here in New Zealand, the initial climb is actually that level that they give you. So, level 450, here it is. Alright, fantastic. So with that, our clearance is fully programmed, and then we're about ready to get our IFR clearance, respectively to get our startup clearance. Alright, so let's go ahead and pin the fraction 8, and then we can also pin the airport chart, and that's all we need. Let's make that thing full. Like that. Alright, cool. So we're basically all set up here. So let's continue with the B4 engine start checklist, which is park and brake. Now, for that one, let's first of all turn on the auxiliary hydraulic pump. And then we do have pressure, so now press the toe brakes and pull the handle. And all of that would have worked without the brake going on and off if I didn't have my hardware brake lever on. So, oh, it's a little interaction there. Right, then we'll turn the auxiliary hydraulic pump back off again and just run out to make sure that we remove the chocks, and then we're good to go. You can hear it's getting really loud when the APU is running. You can control the volume of everything you hear outside in the settings, but let's go ahead and do that manually real quick. Alright, we're collecting everything. And then we can remove that ground power unit. Close up. Like that. Alright, and then we're ready to go.
Just 1219, report your indicated airspeed.
Alright. Cool, so let's close the door.
Currently 290.
Jetstar 1219, just reduce minimum clean speed for us.
Minimum clean speed, Jetstar 290.
Alright, closed, and then let's get started. Echo Mike India request startup.
Sorry, last question, calling call sign only.
Echo Mike India.
I've got an Echo Lima Foxtrot.
Oh yeah, you're absolutely right about that. Echo Lima Foxtrot request startup.
Echo Lima Foxtrot, not a problem, start approved.
Start approved, Echo Lima Fox. Alright, I've been flying the Echo Mike India too often. Cool, let's go for it. Park and brake is verified on, wheel chocks removed, FBO payment on fuel receipt verified received, static wicks removed, cabin door closed, curtain open, divider doors latched open, crew seat panels and seat belt harness adjusted fastened. Then we've got the seatbelt and passenger safety buttons. Are both on, yes, and CAS. What do we have down there? That is all tracked. Okay, fuel quantity balance and reserves are checked. Departure route and crew briefing in there. We'll do that during the engine start and passenger briefing performed. Before starting checklist complete, starting engine checklist. That's APU, bleed out button off, max cool button off, throttles idle, and then here we go, starting engine number 2. Okay, so if you look at the batteries down there, you can see how they go really down low. That's because the engines are always started off the battery, even though we have the APU running. So that is in progress. That does take a little while, so we can make good use of that time, not just by having those engines start up, but also by doing the departure briefing while the engines are starting. So let's go ahead and go for it, and since we are sitting in the flight deck with 2 persons, we can basically do that briefing in the good old Airbus briefing style. So we're departing from Queenstown, runway 23, and that's going to be, if you do turn those engine buttons on the starts, do proceed better, by the way. So, that's going to be Queenstown runway 23 departure, fraction 8, which is straight ahead, left turn around the mountain, and at 7,600 proceed to Quebec, November. And that's that. Now, the initial climb is level 450, and we got an MSA in the area of 12,000. Extra fuel time, we didn't load any. Alright, so we're taxiing out to runway 23, and we're down here in the south, probably a Yankee onto runway 32 or something like that, then backtrack and runway 23 full length. Now, our stop margin is approximately 3,000 feet, and for an engine out, we go straight into the fjord and then spiral ourselves up over there. So that's a good start in engine number 2. Let's start number 1. Alright, so engine out into the fjord, spiral ourselves up over there. In terms of specials for our departure, the one special I see is that we may have some routing. I don't want to say trouble, but if we fly this, so straight ahead into the fraction arm, and a left turn around the mountain, by the time we get over here, I'm fairly sure we're going to have those 7,600. And now the question is this SID going to tell us to fly straight from here to there? or do we have to fly on that outbound leg? So for that, let's just go ahead and zoom in a bit down here and just read that description. Alright, so initial climb. Follow fraction arm until a beam Kelvin heights at 5 DME for aircraft requiring minimum net climb of 5.8%, cross Kelvin heights at or above 4,100. Aircraft requiring minimum net rating of 3.3. That's actually not the case for any of us. So initial climb is just like that. Okay, but they do tell us to intercept Queenstown Radial 213. Track outbound until 7,600 and then proceed on course. So I tell you what, I am going to ask air traffic control about it. Because I'm fairly sure. Echo Lima Foxtrot.
How long until you're going to be ready for departure?
Well, 20 seconds until taxi, and then we'll be ready by the time we reach the runway.
Okay, Lima Foxtrot, thanks. I've just got a pair of A320s inbound on the AMD Zulu, so if you get out just as they come onto the approach, there might be a bit of a delay.
Alright, we're expediting, call you. So, before taxi checklist, flight controls.
And just 12.9.
Flight controls are free, nose field steering is checked, speed brakes,
From my G3.
full up,
To you, Mark, I certainly can accept
and
that.
full
Yes,
down,
I
flight
want to
instruments avionics
expect
check,
the
flight director
yeah,
top mode. Well, let's just press that button and here we go. Right, autopilot is off, take a speed. That we gotta select those flaps.
Remains at Alpha, the fuel in QNH1006.
Now posted, fuel cross feed off, bleed system check, pressurization, landing field elevation check, NEIS off, ice cast check, before taxi checklist complete.
12.19.
Echo Lima Foxtrot request taxi.
Echo Lima Foxtrot, taxi 100.Alpha 4.
Taxi 100.Alpha 4, Echo Lima Foxtrot. Alright, and that's up here. Cool. So we're clear on the left side, we're clear on the right side. Taxi light on. Parking brake is going off. And here we go. So for our taxi checklist, exterior lights check, brakes check, nose wheel steering, rudder bias system and thrust reverser we'll do in a moment. Very nice of the controller asking, by the way, because that, you know, could easily have ended up in some extra delay. Alright, so we're going to taxi out over here. Pretty narrow taxiway to be honest, but not much we can do about it. Back Lima Foxtrot request.
Back Lima Foxtrot, looks like you've gone onto the wrong taxiway. Alpha just kind of skirts the main apron.
Yeah, looking at the scenery, there wasn't any way to get it onto the main taxiway there, so we kind of plan to turn left onto the apron and then Alpha 4 over here, if that's fine with you.
Okay, Lima Foxtrot, not a problem. Taxi your discretion, Alpha 4.
Thanks, our discretion Alpha 4 will proceed straight onto the apron over here, and then we'll swing over.
And okay, Lima Foxtrot, if you're ready, unfortunately the two 320s have beaten you, so you can just hold it Alpha 4.
Roger, that's too bad really, because we're under a little time pressure. Is there any chance for a visual departure?
You know what? I can do that. Echo Lima Foxtrot. Stand by.
Okay, let's better get done with that checklist. So thrust reversers. Are checked. God damn it, why is this Alpha 3? On the chart it looked...
Echo
Okay.
Lima Foxtrot. We
Doesn't-
cleared Batley 3 departure, Fabulous transition.
Badly 3 departure, Fabulous transition, Echo Lima Foxtrot.
Echo Lima Foxtrot, thanks via Alpha 4, enter backtrack line up, runway 23.
Via Alpha 4, enter backtrack, runway 23. Okay, Fabulous transition, load. Okay, so 2-3 is off to the right hand side. So we do have quite a bit of stuff to do right now, and we will be blocking the runway.
New Zealand 2-3, Mike, you'll actually shortly be leaving control airspace.
Okay, so complete that taxi checklist, please.
Said to leave control airspace on track West Melton. There's no reported of the diaphragm or...
Right, that's the taxi checklist complete. So, for our SID, let's have a look what he just cleared us for. Vapley 3.
Contact Christchurch, control now 123, decimal 7.
123, Dixon.
Okay, so that's basically straight out right-hand
See you
turns.
later. See ya.
See ya.
We're gonna fix the flight plan en route. We just verified that we got that routing in there. So straight ahead to Aklov, then we got Tolvu, and then continue via Vapley, Afdak, Bulul. Alright, it's all in there. Fantastic, so the routing is in, and that's basically all we need. Alright, before takeoff checklist. Flap selector is verified for takeoff. Speed brake stilled, trim set, anti-eyes off, speed knob, FMS, radar off, flight director and top altitude set, crew brief completed, before takeoff checklist complete.
Echo Lima Foxtrot, report passing 10,000, runway 23, cleared for takeoff.
Echo Lima Foxtrot, call you out of 10, runway 23, clear for takeoff.
Just on 219, continue approach your number 1, a Cessna 680 to start ahead.
Alright, he's 6 miles out, so we do have plenty of time for that. So, clear for takeoff checklist. Control log is off, flight controls free, pedostatic buttons on, anti-eyes is off, exterior lights on, EIS cast checked, auto throttle is now armed, and that's the checklist complete. Alright, due to the inbound traffic, let's not lose any time. Come on, stroll this. Alright, and off we go. Take off. Timing. Thrust set. 80 knots. V1, rotate. Pause of climb. Gear up. Flaps up. Okay, level change, nav, and yaw damper.
November 133 Bravo, when ready, descend, pressure cleared. Could be Elrus 5 Bravo, arrival runway 23, when ready, descend 1000, with that currently Alpha, the Yoke QH1006. Jetstart 219, runway 23, clear to land.
Runway 23, clear to land, Jetstart 219 on.
Okay, and here we go. Autopilot's on. Then we can do the after takeoff checklist. Alright, and that's landing gear up, flaps up, yaw damper on, flight director modes set, pressurization is climbing, and exterior lights. Landing, taxi, recalc off. That's the after takeoff checklist complete. Echo Lima Foxtrot passing 10,000.
Echo Lima Foxtrot, taxi well identified, continue climb up to flight level 450.
Continue climb level 450, Echo Lima Foxtrot. Right, climb checklist passing 10,000, passenger safety button off. Here we go, and then from that, simple turnout, and that's it. Now all those altitude restrictions are ATC restrictions over here. He didn't apply any of those, so that's easy. And then let's set standard. And standard is cross-check passing level 145 now. Alright, so climb checklist, transition altitude, altimeters, standard, seatbelts, off, external lights, off, and APU off. Alright, and that's the transition altitude checklist complete. With that, the cruise is going to be up next, so let's go ahead and just clean up the displays a bit. Something like this. And that's all I can offer you for the time being.
Control Jetstart 219, vacating Alpha 4 for scanning.
So,
Jetstart 219, taxi, stand by up.
everything's set down here, everything's set down here, and then I'd say, guys, sit back, relax, and enjoy the flight with us. And I'll see you all when we start the approach over in Queenstown. No, in Auckland. Alright my friends, we're on the approach into Auckland and we can start setting ourselves up over here and start with a little briefing as well. So let's take a seat over here and then we can get going. We're going to start with a little bit of track up of the conditions. So let's go ahead and start by requesting the ATIS. We're looking for November Zulu Alpha Alpha Auckland, and we can request that. Arrival ATIS and not the real world one. So that should arrive. Here it is. So it's Auckland information Echo, expect the ILS approach runway 23 left, 250 at 7, visibility 20, broke clouds, 15 degrees, 1013, and we are indeed descending on 1013 already. So ATC gave us a little speed reduction there to 30 for a little while, which we've just been relieved of, and we are now resuming our normal speed, descending down to 11,000 for the time being. Now, let's quickly run the descent checklist over here before we look into the charts and everything for the approach. First start descent 7,000 Echo Lima Foxtrot. Set 7,000 checked. Okay, so descent checklist, pressurization, landing elevation 16 set, altimeters, QNH 1013, exterior lights. All on. Descent checklist complete. Okay, the approach checklist is going to be up next, and since we are about to reach cloud level, let's go ahead and turn on the passenger signs over here, so that we are safe for the approach in case of any turbulences. Now, let's go ahead and have a look into the approach that we're about to fly. So, starting with the Debbie 6 Alpha arrival. Here we go. We are inbound to Zorba, and from there we'll fly via Sabah towards Amrak, and then from there on to the final. Now for the approach, we got an ILS approach. Hey, what just happened to my charts? I just closed. Okay, gotta pin that one again. Where's the arrival chart? Here it is. That's interesting. Must be a little bug there with the approach just vanishing. Oh yeah, there's definitely a bug involved. Yeah, well, in any case, starting the approach out of Amrak onto the final, and the minimum is 223, which we've got selected. And yeah, we go around straight ahead to Porek and then right into Ignis, climbing 3,000. Alright, and that's pretty much it. Minimum safe altitude 3,400 feet. And we are going to vacate the runway to the right hand side, and then I'm not really sure where they're going to park us. But I suggest ATC is going to tell us something. Alright, and that's really everything we got for the parkings. So, descent by star, altitude 3,000, Echo Lima Foxtrot. Set, 3,000 checked. Alright, and that's it. Then let's go over the approach checklist. And that's landing, data confirmed, minimums 223, anti-ice. Now that's the question, what's the outside temperature? 2 degrees, but the ram air temperature is 12, so we can keep the anti-ice off. Right, flight instruments are set, crew approach briefing complete, fuel transfer off, exterior lights on, passenger briefing completed, divider, door and curtain latched open, crew seats, seat belts adjusted and fastened, seatbelt and passenger safety buttons on, APU in flight is not desired, and thus the check is complete. Alright, so we're reducing 220 knots, which is the next speed restriction. I mean, it's says all by ATC, but he said descent via star, so therefore I'm going down the safe road over here, and I'd rather follow them than, you know. Basically, the descent via star clearance clears us to obey all those restrictions as well. Alright, speed is basically 220. 6 knots is not too much of a difference, so nothing that I'd be worried about. And the rest is looking good. Okay, so we're reaching Emrak. That's the end of the arrival. Clear to LSDME 23 left, Echo Lima Foxtrots. Okay. So we're cleared for the approach. The airfield should be somewhere over there, and then we're just gonna fly ourselves onto the final using FMS navigation, and once we're on the final, we will activate approach mode, and that's it. Turbulence here. Now, is it going to do the left turn? Probably not. Okay, then we help ourselves. Yeah, here we go. That's a little late. Echo Lima Foxtrot, sorry, overshooting the center line, but we are re-intercepting. Wilco. Yeah, that wasn't coded perfectly. Okay, so active nav source log 1, and you'll keep descending, please. Alright, and approach mode is armed. So then let's take manual speed control here. We'll start slowing down. Here's something like 160 here. We might have to descend another couple hundred feet here for the re-intercept, but that shouldn't be any problem. 2620 over had Abiso or ISO. So if we go down 2500 over here, that should be good. Alright, then let's use that speed brake to start slowing down. Localizer alive, and capture, and glass loop capture. Ground altitude set, flaps 1. Speed brakes in, and down there is the airport. Echo Mike India established. Correction, Echo Lima Foxtrot established. Echo Lima Foxtrot, read you 2, it's a lot of static in the background. Runway 23 left, cleared land, vacating right. Alright, gear down. Okay, FMS speeds, flaps 2. And flaps 4. Landing checklist. Landing gear down 3 green, flaps 4, speed brakes retracted, airspeed is reducing, and autopilot yaw damper will go off momentarily. Okay. All manual, flight directors off. And just in case you were wondering what happened on our FMA over there, I did accidentally hit the toga button instead of the auto throttle disconnect button when I wanted to disconnect the auto throttle.
Approaching 23 left.
Checked. Keep the speed slightly higher here just in case of possible turbulences. Checked. Alright, everything's nice and stable. That's how I love it. Continue. Disregard the poppy, that is not correct.
50, 40, 30, 20, 10.
Alright, speed brakes.
Echo Lima Foxtrot, taxi to the Charlie 1 apron via Alpha Bravo 1 Charlie.
Charlie 1 apron, Alpha Bravo 1, Charlie 1, Echo Lima Foxtrot. Alright. So now it would have been nice if our pin charts would have stayed there, but anyway, Alpha
FedEx 596 descends 2000.
Bravo 1 is all the way to the right, okay.
Runway 02, report damage.
So vacating to the right.
In 2000, Pendular listing meter 2, report damage for the front.
Like this. Okay, so after landing checklist, thrusters are stowed, speed brakes are stowed, flaps up, pedostatic buttons, off, lights, set an APU as desired. We do desire it today, so let's go ahead and start it. And that's the after landing checklist complete. Okay, so all the way straight via Alpha until we are entering via Bravo 1 and Charlie 1. Well guys, and that's it. Our first flight in the release version of the fantastic Skyward Simulation Cessna Citation Sovereign. So let's get you up to speed. How do I like this airplane? And how is the entire simulation? Now, first of all, I really like this airplane, really do. Okay, that's Bravo 2, we're going one further. Now, system-wise, this is really fantastic simulation. It features all the systems that are included with the aircraft. It has a very comprehensive electronic flight bag that features pretty much everything you could possibly need for an airplane like this. Now the flight dynamics are really nice. It really handles very, very well. They've done an awesome job on the flight dynamics, and overall I think that they have really put a lot of heart into simulating this airplane. Now, it is rather different from the Phenom, so if you are thinking like, do I need another bizjet after I already have a Phenom? Then the answer is, yeah, you probably do. Because this one not only has a much greater range, but also is rather different in terms of its automation capabilities. So this one has auto thrust, this one has all the features that the G5000 offers compared to the G3000 in the Phenom. I don't want to recommend one over the other. But as mentioned, they are rather different aircraft. And I think that's the most important point of this entire video. It is a fantastic airplane to fly. It has a higher level of automation than the Phenom does. It is a little bit more similar to the Longitude, but simulated to a much higher degree. For example, it has data link available, it has... let's just stop it here. It has the electronic flight bag and custom checklists, all that stuff that you would be looking for. Well, so that's my verdict on the airplane. Flies lovely, sounds lovely, looks lovely, and has a lot of things like the electricals, like the oxygen simulations that you can use for customization. So would I recommend it for this price? Absolutely, it is a fantastic airplane. Fully recommend it. I am sure you're going to enjoy it. And yeah, now let's go ahead and shut it down. So we've got the throttles and idle, parking brake set, engine run, and stop buttons. We're gonna go stop. And seatbelts, passenger safety buttons off, and that's the transit stop checklist complete. Alright then guys, thank you very much for watching. Do hope you enjoyed this one. Leave your feedback in the comments underneath the video. Sure hope you liked it. As always, like, comment and subscribe. If you really love what I'm doing on this channel, I would appreciate a small donation through the buy me a coffee link in the video description below. Thank you very much for watching, and then I'm looking forward to see you all again on the next one.